Hello, my name is Wesley Bennett of the Six Sigmas. I'll be sharing with you today our team strategy and results of the resource leveling portion of the Texas Parks and Wildlife Boat Project. I'm the project manager this week, and I would like to introduce the rest of my team. Isabel Ty, Jasmine Alexander, Daniel Leach, Gal Shaikh, and Mohammed Mueddin. To give you a little explanation of this week's project. Leveling a project allows a project manager full sight of the project's resource demand. It offers opportunity to reduce the total hiring and firing costs associated with the project while potentially improving utilization of current employees throughout the life cycle of the project. I would like to detail the necessary assumptions that we made for this project. All the resources are not assigned to specific departments, meaning they are multifunctional, they can work across any department. The hiring cost is a flat rate of $4,000 per employee regardless of the skill level. And layoff costs are assumed to be 2 weeks severance, 80 hours at base pay. Leveling the project ultimately overall reduced the labor costs by approximately $31,377. I'm going to share with you our strategy for leveling our resources for our project. First, we determined the total man hours per task, and then we evenly distributed those man hours across the entire duration of the task. We took a summation of that week's total man hours required across all the tasks, and we divided that total hours by 40 to determine the required number of employees. From there, we established an overtime threshold. 1.5 employees and less, we allowed for overtime. Anything above that to 2, we hired additional employees. Any whole number plus 0.69 and less, we would allow overtime. Above that, we would hire additional employee. We use several different approaches to level our labor resources. To avoid going through every line of our WBS, I will share some samples of what changes we made to level our schedule. For our skilled workers, we delayed the start time of our electric harness fabrication to 2/28, and we also extended that duration to 4 weeks. This allows us to spread those required hours across a longer duration, which allows our employees to be able to touch on several different projects or tasks at the same time. We also extended the duration of our cabin build to 4 weeks, also being able to spread those same employees across several different tasks during the same duration. Other things that we changed to allow for our leveling is we moved some start dates forward for our navigation equipment. We changed some predecessors also to allow simultaneous work, and we also extended the task duration of our freshwater system. All that involved was able to level our employees required for our skilled workers out to be 2 throughout the majority of our project. Some of the same types of strategies were used to level out our unskilled workers as well. For example, we did extend our sanitation installation system to 2 weeks to level out some of our employees. You do see a spike there on week 14, and that's due to a system constrained task that's required to have that many employees and that many hours to get a task done before the rest of the project can continue. When it comes to leveling our professional workers, we were not really able to change anything there. Additional engineers were needed just for the design phase only, specifically for the whole design. After that, any additional hours beyond the 40, once everybody else was complete with their portion of the task, we just reassigned some of our own internal task team to help fulfill those requirements to get that design completed. Looking at our network diagram, the critical path remained unchanged. We were able to level our resource usage by altering tasks that did not actually lie on the critical path. So therefore, our delivery time never changed. It just increased some duration, some tasks. Here you see our final leveled resource budget, where we combined all the week's total costs into a final number value. That number value came to $296,456. In comparison to our previous refined budget, with a hiring and firing cost of $327,833, we had an overall cost savings of $31,377. Although our losses that we had in hiring and firing costs came out to $26,000 more than our refined budget. We will touch on that on the next slide. So this brings up the question of why is there an increase in turnover costs? We determined that increasing the resource resolution to a weekly demand instead of a monthly allowed us to improve the visibility of the actual peaks and lows of the resource demands themselves, which resulted in a higher number of hiring and firing costs. But ultimately, we had a visibility to see that there were actually lower man hours required for each week, which gave us ultimately our savings in the end. What we would do at this point was we would do a root cause analysis to determine what our mistakes were in our previously budgeting meetings, and we would take corrective actions. And we would also have lessons learned meetings to prevent any of these kind of issues ever happening again at future projects.